Hey everyone, hope you're ready to talk about our finale this week. Hope you've enjoyed season 1 so far. I enjoy rewatching some of these. Some of these have been really fucking bad, and I can't believe I watched them as a child. But it's good to go through and reminisce about things you watched. And speaking of things that I used to watch all the time, I've seen most of these movies, as I said at the end of last week. I've seen most of them. There's like 15 Puppet Master movies in total. I've seen a good 10 to 12 of them. I even own a couple, but I've definitely seen the first 5, which I'm covering over the first 5 Puppet Masters. Yay! I hope you're all ready for how fucking oddball these get. The first one is way different than what they end up doing with the second and further, because I believe, if I remember correctly, I think they bring back some things. But anyway, we're covering over Puppet Master 1 from 1989, and the fact that this spawned a franchise that has made over 15, because there's like crossovers with other things and whatnot, but like, god damn. So Puppet Master 1, oh boy, let's all get ready for this. So, before we get into it, as always, thank you over to Dubby, because you're such a lovely sponsor, and you're willing to give us a sponsorship, so go use code Oddcast, save yourself money off, hop on the deals they got going on, get yourself something nice, and give yourself the energy you might need to battle living puppets that have a bunch of powers and things that you don't want to mess with these puppets. Also, go listen to What an Oddcast. I can't say it enough. Go listen to the podcast. But before we get into the actual movie, let's go over the puppets that are in this, because each movie has some different puppets. So this one, we got our main guy. I call him the main guy because he becomes like the staple for everything Puppet Master. His name's Blade. He's got a little hat and a trench coat, and he's got a blade and a hook hand. You also got Leech Woman, who, as her namesake, spits out leeches. You got Tunneler, and Tunneler has a fucking drill for a head. You got Jester, who has he has spinning faces, and it makes different expressions. I don't think we really ever, if I remember right, you don't ever see him really kill anyone, but he does make expressions of like, oh my god, and things like that. And then you got Pinhead, who's another more staple puppet of the series, and he's just got a little tiny head, but a big old strong man body. And then there's also Shredder Khan, who has 2 scimitar blades, but he doesn't kill anyone in this. He's really only in the beginning. I don't know if he really does anything in later ones, maybe ones that I haven't seen, but he is in the beginning. But anyway, so our movie begins with the classic Puppet Master theme, which is like a play on a carnival theme music. But we get a close-up of the puppets' faces as they're being all dolled up and made. And then we cut to that we're at the Bodega Bay Inn, which in real life is called the Castle Green Apartments in California. So if you ever want to check it out, that's where this whole thing takes place. All the first 5 movies take place here. Khan there, he's looking out the window, and he's just kind of admiring, while Andre Toulon, the man who's made the puppets, he's kind of doing his thing making Jester. Speaking of which, Andre Toulon, he's really only see this character in this movie as this person, who is played by William Hickey. And you may not recognize that name, but if you've seen the movie Mouse Hunt, yes, Mouse Hunt, where they're hunting a mouse in a mansion, and there's a whole bunch of wacky things that happen there. If you've seen that movie, you know who William Hickey is. He's their father in that movie, the old man who's, you've got to play with the string. That is Andre Toulon, and it just blows my mind that that's where I first saw this man, was Mouse Hunt. But anyway, we end up seeing that he's finishing up Jester, he's doing his thing. And then we cut downstairs to a POV shot of one of the puppets running around outside, and then he suddenly sees some people pull up. Nazis! That's right, because this takes place in 1939, and they've come to kill Andre Toulon because he escaped the Nazis. Something we'll learn in I want to say 3 or 4. Toulon was essentially using this for the Nazis. They wanted to have the whole power to be able to bring things back from the dead like that, because history fact, Hitler was very into the occult and things like that, so that's why a lot of zombie movies and whatnot use Nazis, because Hitler was very into this shit. He thought that would be like the ultimate way to win is looking into things like this. But that's where Toulon kind of comes from. He ended up escaping because there's a journal entry that we get to later, but I'll mention it here because I don't think I really cover over it when it happens. But there's a journal entry about his puppets are innocent with him, but if they fall into the wrong hands, they could be used for terrible things. Also, if that's the case, you didn't want him to be killing things, why the hell do we have some of the puppets that we do, like Blade, who has a fucking, literally a knife and a hook for a hand and little needles for eyes? Like, if you don't want him to be harmful things, like, god damn, man. But anyway, he starts running inside, and he following the Nazis through, and he's running back up to Toulon's room, and Toulon's putting all the puppets away. And he gets back up, and we get a nice little, see how nice Toulon actually is as a person.
I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I'm going to hide you in a nice, safe place.
Yeah, he doesn't want anything to happen to him. He loves his puppets. He knows they're innocent creations that he's made. So he tucks him away into a little hidden wall spot, and the Nazis come up, start knocking on the door, and Toulon kills himself because he knows that they're either going to A, make him show where the puppets are, or he'll be forced to make some for them, and he's like, I'm not doing any of that. But then we cut to present day, quote unquote, which is 1989, where we meet anthropologist Alex Whitaker, who is a professor at Yale, and he's having a nightmare psychic vision of leeches on his chest and a weird man telling him that you can't save her, Alex, which that will become important by the end of the movie. But then we cut over to a carnival where our other main character, Dana, is with her boyfriend. There's a woman and her boyfriend, and Dana's telling him about, like, oh, just be careful of this, that, and she has a vision of a death. And then we cut over to Carissa and Frank, who are studying brain waves of sexuality, because that's just a thing. They're fucking freaky people. But they also start getting a vision. And we cut to Alex calling Frank and Carissa and being like, did you guys get the vision too? And they basically say, like, Neil must have found the Puppet Master stash, and we know where it is. It's at this old hotel. So they all meet up, and they all head out to this hotel. And arriving there, they meet Megan, who was married to Neil. And nobody knows that he was even married because they haven't talked to him in forever. But they're very surprised that he had married anyone. And they find out that he killed himself right before they got there. And they talk about, like, how is it that he was able to make the psychic call to all of us, but he blocked out the fact that he was dead? That's strange, and they all start questioning that. But Alex ends up going off to his room with Megan, and she's showing him around and how he knew Neil. And he's like, oh, well, we worked on a project together years ago, and, you know, we're all just part of it. And everyone settles in for the night. And we see each one unpacking in the room, and Alex tries to use his psychic abilities to try and figure out some answers, since Neil can't show him anything because he's fucking dead. But he just gets another of the same vision, and it turns out it's Neil was the one from before, and again telling him, you can't save her, Alex. Which again, that won't make sense till the end of the movie. This first movie gets very confusing with this stuff, because there's things like that are happening, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you're very left in the dark. But at the casket, we see Pinhead. He's coming out from under Neil's body. Looks like he was hiding. Yeah, so we get our first puppet free into the hotel, and we cut over to the group having dinner, and we learn that Megan's family owned the hotel, and that Neil was somebody who was working on something here, and then her parents passed, and he was there for her. That's how they ended up getting together and getting married. And Megan reveals that he had plans to renovate the whole hotel, but then he just stopped one day for some reason and got focused on his work. Totally not a red flag of the villain of the movie. Not at all. Megan, you're just kind of special. You're kind of cute, but you're also really fucking naive, aren't you? And Megan gets made mad because Dana brings up that exact thing and about how, like, he was actually a giant pervert, honey. You don't even know what he was all about, do you? And she runs off. Alex goes and talks to her, and we get a little bit more of an explanation about everything here.
Call us magicians. To some degree, we all have unusual psychic powers. And your husband brought us together several years ago to try to help in his research. He and Frank began studying the ancient Egyptian methods of the occult, and they found evidence that the Egyptians had developed the secret method of giving life to inanimate figurines. Then these secrets were passed on to a select few who knew and practiced magic.
That's right. Neil was searching for Toulon's research and his secret work, and they wanted to track it down, and turns out he ended up tracking it down to this hotel without him, and only notified everyone when he may have found something about everything. But then we cut over to the innkeeper, who was told by Dana earlier, don't go near the fireplace, Suge. Just don't go near a fireplace. But she does anyway, because she's like, fuck this crazy-ass lady. Like, I gotta do my job. But shouldn't have, because now she's dead. And then we hear Megan scream and she faints because Neil's body got moved out of the casket. He's just sitting in a chair. Which, you know, the grieving widow makes her faint because, like, why the fuck is my husband's body just propped up in this chair? But Dana leaves protection markers on everyone's doors because she's what they call a white witch. And she's all like, things aren't safe here. We're like, we're not safe here, sugar. We've never been safe, sugar. And, you know, she's being real ominous about there's something freaky going on. But meanwhile from that, Frank and Carissa, they gonna get a little freaky. Yeah, they start getting it on. They got an quote-unquote experiment to do because Carissa can sense the energies in a place, and he wants to get her all freaked up because then maybe she'll spark some kind of connection. I don't know. All I know is that they make it everyone else's problem, which... You know, that's how Anthony felt, one of my co-hosts from Oddcast. That's how he felt when we were roommates in our 20s. Unfortunately for everyone here, they don't have headphones to fall asleep with, so it's just more uncomfortable for them than it was for him. Haha. But we get glimpses of everyone and see that Blade is running around checking everyone's rooms. And he ends up opening up the door to Frank and Carissa's room, and he lets the puppets in, which Tunneler makes quick work of Carissa, as well as Leech Woman handles Frank. But then we cut over to Alex, who can't sleep, so he's wandering around the hotel checking things out. And he runs into a very drunk Dana, who just wanders back to her room. But she ends up having a not-so-fun surprise with Neil's body and Pinhead, who decides to break her fucking leg. Because, again, he's got a tiny head, but he's just got a really strong fucking body. So he, like, snaps her fucking calf, and then she tries escaping. Boy, does she try. But unfortunately for her, Blade doesn't let her get very far. Yeah, she tried to get away. Just Blade wasn't about that shit. But then we cut over to Megan, who is waking up Alex, and says that she's connected some dots about Neil's work and the Puppet Master. And they enter a room, and his visions become reality. They're in a big white room, and she starts dancing with a masked man who reveals to be Neil. And he pulls out a gun and gets the whole, "You can't save her, Alex." But then it turns out that's a nightmare. And then he wakes up, pulls off his sheets, and then everyone's dead, severed head is on his bed. And that's another nightmare. And then he wakes up again to the sound of knocking. And it turns out Megan does come down, and she does the same exact thing of, "I figured something out. I need you to show you something." And then they start having a talk, and he's like, "Remember, we're quote-unquote magicians. He came up here a lot, and you don't know what to make of it, blah, blah, blah. I already know. I just literally just dreamt about this. But anyway, continue. But she shows him the room. But this time when they get in there, that's when they pull out the diary, and she's like, he starts talking about the work, and I don't know how it is that he found all these things, blah, blah, blah. So they have a whole conversation there, but then Alex gets a vision of everyone's dying, and he's like, we need to get out of here. So they start to make their way downstairs to escape, and then he gets a vision that everyone's in the dining room. So he goes, okay, everyone's in the dining room, we need to get them and get the hell out of here. But they show in there, and everyone's already dead. Obviously, we just saw them all die. But they're all sitting around the table, and then Neil makes his entrance, and surprise, he's not dead, and we get a villain monologue.
Let me explain. Metaphysically speaking, I killed myself. And using the techniques of the old puppet master, I brought myself back to life.
Why?
That's easy. I want to live forever. All life eventually ends in death, but for me, there is no end now.
You mean no natural end?
So yeah, he reveals that he brought everyone here to kill them because they all have a link, the psychic link, and they would all figure out eventually that he found Toulon's work, and he wants it all for himself because it's the key to eternal life. Because you can't just kill him, you'd have to completely destroy his physical body to stop what he's done. But he plans to kill all of them and bring them back as his little minions, basically. And then he ends up just being like, I have no need for dumb wooden puppets, and throws them to the side, which, not a smart idea, because the puppets immediately are like, yo, what the fuck? Like, man, you may be the quote-unquote new puppet master, but, like, don't fuck with the puppets is what we're gonna learn here. And he also reveals that he killed Megan's parents because they were getting too close, and fuck them bitches. He needed the whole place to himself, and Megan was just a dumb bitch who was there, so, like, fuck it, I'm gonna kill you and bring you back too. Real piece of shit guy. But Neil makes the mistake of thinking that he can turn on the puppets. And again, they don't take kindly to this because he's tossing Jester around, calling him stupid and shit. And he starts beating the hell out of Alex, and Alex and Megan try to escape. But the exits are all blocked, and Neil plans again. He brings up that he plans to kill them, bring them back under his control, and luckily for them, the puppets, they have some other ideas. And, things didn't go well for Evil Neil. Just shouldn't have turned on him, bud. Yeah, see, if you hadn't have threatened and hurt the puppets, they probably would have helped you with whatever it is you wanted to do, but they said fuck that guy, and they fucking just murder his ass. But after that traumatic event, we cut to the next day, and Alex is leaving, and Megan's all like, you take care of yourself, blah, blah, and like the puppets apparently just fucked off after killing the puppet master, and everything's fine. And Megan starts walking upstairs, and she takes the stuffed dog that Dana had, and we find that apparently Megan's learned some new tricks.
Good dog, Leroy.
Yeah, that's how that movie ends, is they show that she's kind of learned how to do that power of bringing things back to life, whatever. So that's Puppet Master 1. Puppet Master 2 basically doesn't have anything to do with the first movie in a way. It's the same place. We'll get to it when we get to it. But, everyone, I hope you're all enjoying your week. This is our Season 1 finale, so hope you're going to enjoy talking about Puppet Master. You can watch them if you want, but there's definitely some things I don't talk about that it might make people feel uncomfortable. So I purposely kind of left out bringing up some scenes in here. But As always, remember, don't bring things back from the dead. Don't gene splice animals. Don't prank your friends as a serial killer. Be careful what you're baking, and if you find secret things, maybe don't turn on the things that are part of that giant mystery. And don't dump your chemicals in the sewer. Stay out of the water, but most of all, stay happy, stay odd. I will see you on the next one. This motherfucker, if he hadn't have hurt the puppets, he would have been fine.